festival. You are listening to SGFR, podcast radio for the festival. Now broadcasting highlights and top picks, your tasty, tantalizing tease for this coming year.
And Euan, it is a joy and a delight to have you as a long time associate of Strange Games activities. I have it in my head that you've been party of the Strange Games for many moons, and it is a delight that you are a guest here with us today.
Thanks for having me on the show.
James, because I have been very mysterious about why Euan's here.
I'm confused and a little bit aroused, maybe.
Well, you have successfully aroused somebody. I mean, that sounds good. No,
difficult to do.
Well, way to start the day.
Well, yeah, get the blood pumping, I suppose.
Andy, why is Euan here?
I love the way you've twisted that around. Rather than throwing Euan under the bus, let's throw Andy under the bus.
I don't know Euan well enough to be horrible to him.
Oh, so that's it. So that's the secret. Basically, do not get to know James, because if you get to know him, he will be horrible to you.
This sets a dangerous precedent for my friendships in the future.
Really?
Everyone goes, no, I just won't talk to him. It's fine. In that case, Euan, tell us, why are you here today?
Why am I here, Andy?
Because I asked you, really, when it comes down to it, if we're really being honest, and I think that's the best policy, it is because I asked you. It's because I know you from Strange Games activities like the Brighton board gamers meetup groups, and also meeting at other festivals. And we meet fairly regularly as part of the Wednesday group. And we played many games online as well. So I thought it would be great to do two key things. One, discuss the differences between the festival and the possible camp out and what it's like doing regular meetings. And two, use you to help bulk out the material for this show because we're desperate for material.
That's what I'm here for.
That's good. So no pressure, but entertain us, please.
No, hey, Euan, don't no pressure from Andy there. I've just now hearing Andy explain why you're here. I have a million questions for you. Also, I just looked back on the message that Andy sent me, and it does literally say Euan is going to talk about some board game or another. Have you been to Strange Games then? How long have you been going for?
Oh, well, I've actually only been going like the last 3 years, but I have been like part of the Wednesday board games group for over a decade. So
you've been dealing with Andy's nonsense for quite some time.
Yeah. We I think I first met Andy in the during the COVID years when we played online because we had some online board game sessions. So I've just encountered Andy's voice at first before meeting him in the flesh.
That's the best way to encounter Andy, I find.
It's the safest.
It is the safest, yeah, absolutely. Okay, so you've been to Strange Games for
encountering Andy as a voice in the dark doesn't sound terribly safe.
He's like Bane in the Dark Knight Rising.
Is that Bane or Blame?
Bane.
Bane.
I'm not going to do my Bane impression because I'm sure someone will sue me.
So thanks for letting me interrupt, James. Biggest differences between the online board gaming and board gaming meetups and your 3 experiences at the festival. What comes to mind?
Well, I mean, the last online meetup we had was just me and you, Andy, and there's quite a lot more people at the festival.
He's not wrong. These are very true comments.
Very perceptive man, I see. Euan, as someone who goes to the festival relatively regularly, how do you approach Strange Games Festival?
Yeah, like obviously the first year it was kind of like I didn't know what to expect because I hadn't been before. People had been talking about it in the meetup for a while, and I thought, I better, I'll see what it's like and give it a go. And I was, I thought it was really good. It's kind of like, it's got a combination of stuff. So it's not just like, if you like board games, you can just play board games all weekend. If you like role-playing games, there's a role-playing section, and last year there was like a role-playing glade, so you can go and play a lot of role-playing games. There's werewolf and all those kind of things. So how I tend to present when I go there is I like to do a bit of everything, really. I mean, I don't really do much werewolf, to be fair, but I like to do a bit of role playing, a bit of board games, a lot of the different kind of special kind of things which they have. Like I'm trying to think what we had last year. Oh, the Starship Simulator was good.
Oh,
yeah.
it was, yeah.
Yeah, which was like kind of a Star Trek-y kind of thing where everyone plays a different role.
Oh yeah, I love the Starship Simulator. But I made the mistake of doing it first thing on the Monday, so I was recovering from previous days, and then suddenly I was the captain of a starship, and it was fantastic. So, Euan, what over the 3 years you've been to Strange Games, what would you say is like the highlight bit of like the time that you spent there?
I'd say the Starship Simulator was one of the highlights. I also liked a game of Dread, which I played, which I hadn't played that before. It was like where you have like Jenga blocks, and rather than rolling a dice, as you do in a lot of role-playing games, you pull out the Jenga blocks to see if your character manages to survive or not, because it's kind of a horror-themed game.
Excellent.
And as the challenges get more difficult, the more blocks you have to pull out. When we were playing it, because it's like a bit unfair if your character gets killed early on, there was a mechanic where there was like some non-playable characters, or originally non-player characters, who were like just like the guide or some other people who are around. So if you got killed, you could take over one of those characters. And yeah, that was really good. It was good fun. And there was one of the people playing who just kept dying and taking over different characters. I kind of got to the very end and then just died at the last minute. I was like, oh yeah, I'm doing really well. And then I had a big confrontation with these wolves and then pulled the block out. Everything collapsed and I just got eaten.
Oh,
yeah, it was good.
That's a great mechanic. And it's very fortuitous because in the next episode, we'll be talking to Len about Icarus, which has a not dissimilar tower building mechanic rather than tower demolishing mechanic.
It is I've always thought with Dread, it's very unfortunate if you're just rubbish at Jenga, because like in any other role-playing game, you just roll a dice and it's fate, where this is an actual skill, and apparently in your game you're having just one person who's, I don't know, got very shaky hands, then it will be a very different kind of role-playing experience.
Yeah, but as I say, I think that's why you need almost like the extra characters, because if you did just get knocked out early on, I think that would be unfair. But because the person who was running it had that mechanic, it kind of made it quite entertaining when people did die, because they could kind of come back.
I remember I spoke to someone who played Dread like a few years ago, so it was probably a different game, but they said, yeah, I hadn't really had to pull many blocks, and then quite like about halfway through I suddenly had to pull one, and then I died, and then I just didn't play for the rest of the game. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry.
For those people who are not used to the festival, tell us about how the group was put together. Were you amongst strangers? Was it everyone you knew?
There was quite a lot of people who go to the Wednesday Brighton pub board gamers there, so there was quite a lot of people I knew there. But if you're not someone who has ever gone to that group, or you're coming from further afield, you don't actually know anyone. It's a very warm and welcoming community, so that you'll always be able to. And people start games and we'll put up a little sign saying like players wanted, or look around for people, so you can always just join a table, and it's easy to make new friends as well. So if you're thinking, oh well, I don't know anyone, then that's not really a concern. You'll meet some new people as well.
How about those people who are even new to playing games? Because I've never played Dread and it sounds fascinating. Is it daunting? Would I be right or wrong to be hesitant about trying to join a group playing that for fear of, being ignorant?
I think with like Dread, for example, I don't think there's any real barrier if you've never played a role-playing game before, because there was one of the players who I was playing with hadn't ever played a role-playing game before, and that was their first experience of it. And I think that's quite a good one. That one was quite a good one to actually, as an entry point, because there wasn't, any complicated, oh, I've got to work out all my stats and roll dice and kind of stuff, which might be a bit off-putting if you'd never encountered a game like that before. But even if you did want to join something like more mechanical, like Dungeons and Dragons, I think that's more stats-based. But the people who run the different games are very accommodating to new players and will always make sure people understand the rules and how to play and stuff. So it's a good entry point, really, if you've never played any role-playing games or board games before. Although I'm sure most people have played some board games, but they might have played, I guess, more old-fashioned board games and be interested in like the more modern style board games. It's a good entry point, I think.
Cool. And talking about board games, are there any particular board games you're really, really looking forward to playing at the longer camp out?
Not sure, really. It's I mean, because I'm someone who likes a lot of board games, really.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not really. I don't like think, oh, I've got to play this game all the time.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of board games. People bring a lot of board games to the festival, and there's a lot of board games already there. So there's always kind of, depending on what mood strikes you on the day, you can always find something which will tickle your fancy. I guess as it's, I mean, it's good. I think the festival sometimes for longer games.
Yeah.
Because sometimes on like the Wednesday board games which I go to, it's more, you don't necessarily want to go for a really long game, because if it lasts all night, then you're like, oh, I've just been playing that, and if I didn't enjoy it, then. But whereas with the festival, if you play a long game, you still got like the rest of the weekend. If it wasn't one which if you just like, oh, I could have enjoyed that a bit more, there's always other games going on. So I think it's a good opportunity to play some longer games, but I can't think of a specific example at the moment.
Simon has floated the idea of doing a Heat Championship.
Ooh.
Yeah, we have been playing some Heat online, so.
What is Heat? Be on a fantastic magazine.
Heat's a racing game.
Oh yes.
Do you know Flamme Rouge? It's the
enough.
sequel to that.
I
Essentially,
think
it's motor racing.
I saw some people playing that the other year. Actually, yes.
Yeah, that's a whole point. The thing about doing tournaments and leagues over that period of time. Though I wonder about those, because you're kind of committed to the league, or in your experience, does that fold in to the tap of the weekends well?
I think it depends on what you're kind of looking for, really. I mean, if there's a particular game you really would like to play for a long period of time and just want to keep playing that game, then it's probably great. I prefer more of a range of games, but there was like a couple of years ago a kind of board game kind of tournament kind of thing, which was different board games. And that was quite fun. So it was like, if you got through one round, you went to the next round, that kind of thing. So there's different like scope for different kind of tournaments, rather than just, oh, it's all one game. I think there's room for like more kind of knockout kind of fun, really.
Would you ever be tempted to run one yourself?
Tournament, not so sure. I could be tempted to do maybe like role-playing sessions sometime, like one-shot kind of thing. But I'm not sure about a tournament. I feel like I'd probably want to play the games rather than actually do. I mean, I could do it, but I'd probably be feeling jealous of the people who are playing.
Fair point. Actually, I'm going to interrupt and just make a call out to you again, you wonderful person, for listening, which is, if there are any particularly long games that you really would love to play, then, get in touch. We'll come talk to you. We can have a look at those games, how long they're going to last and what it is about them, and maybe help put a group together. I know at some future point, we're hoping to speak to people about Battlestar Galactica, the traitor-based board game, which can last several hours. And of course, the classic Twilight Imperium, though, to be honest with you, I have never played that. Anyone?
I'll be honest. I have played an astonishingly small number of board games, and I would like to play more, but I'm often scared because I don't like listening to other people explaining rules, because often they're not very good at it. It stresses me out, because I'm like, you've not told me all the rules, and then you've used this kind of little rule to win. You could have mentioned an hour ago. But anyway, if you want to come and tell me about board games, I would love to find out more, so that I won't just be sitting alone again at Strange Games.
If anybody was interested in running a tournament, like the multi-game tournament maybe that Euan was talking about, please do email Laura at strangegamesfestival.co.uk.
And why would they want to email you, Laura, apart from the fact that you're just a lovely person and you like to hear about these things?
Well, because I would be very, very happy to help facilitate setting up any events at the festival. I'm the schedule manager, for want of a better phrase. I'm not sure how you describe. I make all the websites and find everyone little holes to play their games with. So I was happy to.
Thank you. Truth is, I actually knew that, but I just in case someone didn't know, Laura is our amazing make it happen elf. Though, to be honest, she shouldn't. I don't think we're trying to reduce the amount that she would have to do for the camp out, because that's much more of a sandbox, do it yourself. There's plenty of people you can ask for advice, and Laura's one of them. But at the festival, she'll be great guns. She'll be at your back. She will help you make things happen. Is that a fair thing to say?
Yeah, I think at the camp out, I'm going to be much more hands off. It's much more of a sandbox original flavour festival. So I'll be around and available to help and advise, but I'm not running the same level of scheduling, doing the big whiteboard that is traditional festivals. So happy to help. But if there's anything for the main festival, I can definitely arrange for during and.
Can I still message you every few weeks with questions about
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I'm definitely happy to help with the camp out. It's more just letting people know that there won't be the same level of sign-ups and online scheduling. It's more user-directed.
In fact, I would like to issue a challenge to you, dear listener, dear attendee of the camp out, which is to not burden or request any particular help from Laura at the camp out, but accost her to draw her in to play games. That's what brought her in the first place. And it would be lovely to actually see her get a game or two in, given the amount of work she does at the festival.
If you want to burden anyone, do burden Andy. He loves getting correspondence. He doesn't get a huge amount, so message him. That would be great.
Truth is, there's more truth in that than you might imagine, because I am really quite sad. Anyway, Euan, thank you very much for bringing flavour and insight and taste to the experience. I definitely look forward to meeting up on Wednesdays and playing shorter games. And I'd be interested in playing a much longer game at the camp out. Well, let's sort of set something up.
You've been listening to SGFR, the podcast radio channel for the Strange Games Festival.
This season's hosts have been James, Laura, Andy, and Craig.
And if you'd like to come on the show, message us on the Festival Radio channel on the Strange Games Festival Discord server.